What is up, gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode on the channel. As always, so glad to have you guys back on here. On today's episode, I wanted to take a deeper dive into the world of essentially taking care of oneself for mastery, for success, for an all-around great life. I'm going to redefine and I'm going to re-look at the concept of self-care in a way that makes sense to me. It's an anecdotal way of looking at things, but I wanted to share, if anything, my personal experiences. It might give you a little bit of a more modern and more practical take on self-care. So why is this caveat even existing? I find that so many videos, so many topics, so many books that are dedicated to the concept of self-care really don't take into account the modern struggles and the modern demands that our world demands of us. So my idea is, how can your idea of just taking care of yourself complement your vision, your goals for success, your overall trajectory in life without diminishing that, without telling you, no, take your foot off the brake and don't focus on your goals and actually progressing forward in life. But how do you have both of these areas of your life complement each other? This is what this episode is going to be about, and it's going to be a practical guide based on my personal experience. So if you guys are interested in hearing me ramble for 5 to 10 minutes, well, tune in. You guys are in for a good one. The first idea is to redefine what it means to take care of one's self. To take care of oneself does not necessarily mean to pamper yourself and to go for spa days and to just spend time doing aimless things as a way of detaching. I find that the idea of self-care is to take a moment to relax, take a moment to detach from your core goals so that you can get back to those core goals. So what you do around your core goals actually facilitates the further advancement and the further achievements of those core goals. So the first step is to actively take a part in rescuing yourself from yourself, because as we know, if you're striving for something better in life, you can become your own worst enemy. You can find yourself in a position where you become just unhealthy. You have a sense of anxiety. And I've been there, I've been in that position where your core focus is on the task at hand. And sure, that may be a necessary component at certain times in your life, but believe me, in the long run, that consistent tenacity, that non-stop tenacity is something that will actually put a damper on your overall trajectory. Knowing when to take a step back is actually an act of courage. It's an act of resilience. It's telling yourself that I am willing to take a step back so I can take 3 steps forward. And this is strategic thinking. This is something that has been ingrained in me since a young age. When I first started moving into my business and I started achieving a little bit of success in the things that I was doing, I remember my father always sitting me down, especially on weekends, and telling me, listen, you should take half a day, you should take a day for yourself. And this confused me, coming from someone that I revered and I regarded as highly successful, highly ambitious, highly conscious in terms of how he worked. And I realized that the act of taking care of oneself was in and of itself a discipline. Knowing when to step back so you can step forward is more courageous. It's more disciplined than the person that just stays on track no matter what. So this is my focus with this. And number 1 is to know when to detach and how to actually bring in a sense of hobbies and just taking care of the hobbies and the activities that you enjoy. Look at yourself as a person who must be well-rounded. This life demands a version of yourself that is extremely well-rounded, not only in the career that you pursue, but in the person that you become. Having hobbies and having things that you enjoy doing ultimately allow you to build skill sets that are complementary to the core thing, to the one thing that you may focus on. For me, my focus is to build the best fashion design agency that I can, and everything that I do from Monday through Sunday essentially is meant to support that. But the things that I do outside of those core goals are meant to facilitate a more well-roundedness. So whether I pursue learning the guitar, or whether I pursue martial arts, or whether I pursue a greater connection with my friends, all of those things are meant to teach me small lessons that I can carry forward in all areas of my business. So don't look at any time that you spend outside of the main thing as lost time. Look at it as a side quest, as something that you're building up to allow you to get back to the thing that you really love to do. And ultimately, hobbies and activities ultimately allow you to detach from the main thing so that you can come back to it much stronger. Pick a hobby, pick an activity that actually makes sense and is complementary to your life. For me, that was fitness. That was the idea of growing myself in a way that could facilitate a more energetic version of myself. So whether that's going to the gym, whether that's going for mixed martial arts, whether that's going for boxing, whether that's having an outdoor activity with my friends, all of those things support the person that I want to become. I'm not doing things that detach me completely from that. They're all complementary, and that's the goal here, is to pick the right hobbies, the right activities that are going to put you in the right circles, that are going to expose you to the right circumstances. Number 2 is to get enough sleep and establish a proper bedtime routine, and I cannot tell you how important this is. Guys, sleep discipline is by far one of the easiest and most low-hanging fruits that any of us can establish. And I know myself. If you look at 2, 3, 4 videos ago, I had 2 weeks where I was sleeping less than 7 hours. You might not understand this, but even getting less than 7 hours, something like 6 hours consistently, can actually create a turmoil within you. It can create a sense of, or a lack of sharpness. It can create a lack of you being as present as you wish to be. And it's as simple as you not getting enough sleep. Sleep is a superpower. Getting consistent sleep, having a regular bedtime, waking up at the same time, getting into a flow is so beyond powerful. It complements you in all areas of life. It gives you more energy, more sustained energy during the day. It gives you the ability to articulate yourself better. Your mental acuity, your mental sharpness, your ability to think 2, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead comes from how you regenerate, how you sleep, and how you establish your relaxation patterns overnight. Don't take this lightly. The number 1 way is to have a consistent sleeping routine. Get 8 hours of sleep minimum. That does not mean to be in bed for 8 hours. That means to actually be asleep for 8 hours. So in order to be asleep for 8 hours, you will know how long you need to be in bed for. For example, if you're someone that can get to sleep easily, then you might need to be in bed for 8 hours and a half. If you're someone that struggles with the idea of going to sleep, then maybe you need to be in bed for 9 hours. This is going to be a personal goal that you need to reach. Also, make sure that you avoid distractions. You avoid anything that may tempt you from not going to bed on time. The worst thing that I see most people do is that they take their phone and they take it with them into their bed. And what that does is it creates a sense of mindlessness as you scroll through social media, as you get engaged in messages, conversations. You need to be able to put your phone aside. That way, you know, I need to get to bed at this time. I am going to put any sort of things that may distract me from that away. I'm going to keep them as far away as possible, as strong as we believe our willpower to be. At the end of the day, our willpower simply isn't as strong as it is during the beginning or the middle of the day. So give yourself every single opportunity to succeed. Get to bed on time. Go to sleep early. For me, around 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. works. Wake up early, around 6 a.m. for me works perfectly. 5:30 a.m. works for me perfectly. That gives me 8 hours of consistent sleep that really allows me to just be the best version of myself on a day-to-day basis. Number 3 is to practice stress reducing activities such as meditation, such as yoga, and even in some cases prayer. Understand that the way that you connect with yourself in a spiritual way allows you to just be more present, to be more conscious, and to detach yourself from the anxieties and the worries that are aiming to weigh you down on a day-to-day basis. We all have worries, we all have anxieties, we all have troubles that are creeping and knocking at our door. The practices that we take to be able to detach from those things, to be more present, to be more in tune with our core frequencies are essential. And this is not something that you have and that is created overnight. It takes months, it takes years of practice and consistency. Even me, I'm 2 years into this journey and I still have yet to scratch the surface. I find myself on key occasions falling short from my spiritual responsibilities, from my religious responsibilities, from my duties that I must follow and I must maintain throughout my life. But understand that this is a long life journey and the benefits that you accrue compound over time. So be consistent with it. Don't get discouraged in the event that you notice that you have plateaued or that you haven't progressed correctly in your meditations or in your prayers. Be very consistent with how you approach this, because I promise you, it gives you a sense of warmth inside. It gives you a sense of stability. You're able to go at each and every single situation in your life in a way that feels more grounded. You feel more present. You almost feel as if time is slowing down and you're able to take the key decisions necessary to actually give yourself the best possible opportunity to engage and to succeed in any given scenario. Number 4 is to stay active and maintain a healthy physical routine. This is beyond important. You have to understand that the ROI on going to the gym is not just the time that you spend in the gym. The ROI on going to the gym has 2 main benefits that you gain from it. Number 1 is actually the physical benefit of putting your body through rigorous effort and watching it break down and grow over time. Whether it's getting leaner, whether it's getting a better cardiovascular activity, or it's just in general looking and feeling better. The second thing that you have to understand beyond the physiological benefits is the mental benefits. Going to the gym, pursuing a fitness career, whether it's through martial arts, whether it's through yoga, whether it's through running, whether it's through the gym itself, is a form of combat. It's a form of competition. It's a form of putting yourself in a difficult situation and seeing what you're made of physically and mentally. The ability to overcome those inhibitions that keep you back, that keep you sloth, that keep you lazy, that keep you not doing the things that you need to do is a mental win. And starting off your day with a mental win like that, getting into the gym early, going to the boxing session, allows you to gain benefits that honestly, they seep into the rest of your day. They give you a kick, a pep in your step. They allow you to speak with more authority. They allow you to know that you're moving in the right direction. I promise you, the worst days that I've ever had have been made the best days simply by just going through the motions and doing what I needed to do, regardless of how I felt on that day. Number 5 is to maintain close contact with friends and people at all times. We live in a generation where we lack social conditioning, we lack social closeness now more than ever. And this for me is the biggest challenge that our generation and generations after us must face. The idea that humans have become almost dispensable. We look at our digital connections as a worthy alternative, whether we do this consciously or not, but we look at them as an alternative for in-person physical connection. And this could not be further from the truth. Whether it's a platonic friendship or it's an intimate friendship, a digital relationship cannot create an alternative for that. And in order to do this, we have to fight. We have to actually put forth effort to put ourselves out there, to build up these social skills, to take an effort to actually be engaged with people, to ask them questions, to go out of our comfort zone, to make that connection. So many people allow themselves to fall into loneliness. They allow themselves to fall into social isolation because honestly, it's not that they are martyrs or they are suffering. It is the cowardly and it is the weaker way out. It's the way that tells yourself that I'm not going to do what is difficult. I'm going to do what is easy, which is isolating myself and removing myself from any social interaction I can have because I'm introverted or because I'm depressed or whatever it may be, whatever excuse that we tell ourselves. And we think that this is helping ourselves. We think that by brooding in our own hurt and our own pain and our own isolation that we are giving ourselves a sense of salvation. But on the contrary, we're doing the opposite. We're digging our graves deeper and deeper and deeper. I speak from the heart because we've all faced these at some time or another, even the most extroverted people. I would consider myself a little bit of an extrovert, but at the same time, I have introverted tendencies. And I notice that when I allow myself to seep into these tendencies, to isolate myself from the world, things don't get better, they get worse. You need to be vulnerable. You need to understand that closing yourself off to the world is not a show of strength, it's a show of weakness. It tells others that I cannot handle the pain that may come my way if I open myself up to the world, the rejection that may come my way if I open up myself up to the world. So simply by putting yourself out there, by connecting with friends, by speaking to friends, by being there when they need you, when you need them, allows you that sense of growth that is a part of taking care of yourself. Number 6 is to seek professional help if needed. And this is both in person and really sometimes non-in-person. So what does this mean? I find that there is a stigma to talking about your issues. And I understand one part of it in the sense that it's important to speak about your issues, but at the same time, it's important to be diligent about doing something constructive to overcome your issues. Simply talking about your issues sometimes can allow you to seep further and further into those issues. And sometimes you may even find yourself creating and manifesting issues that didn't even exist in the first place. So you need to be extremely conscious about how you proceed, especially if you're seeing a therapist, if you're seeing a psychiatrist. This is a natural step that one must take to overcome their issues, but understand that simply doing this in and of your own accord does not afford you the solution. You need to actually do the work within. You can talk about something, but you need to do the work within that allows you to overcome these anxieties, to overcome these fears, to overcome that darkness. And that simply does not come just by talking to someone. There is a certain amount of external and internal work that needs to be done in order to rid yourself. At the same time, understand you will never fully be cleansed of whatever it is that you're facing. We will consistently be having to reevaluate ourselves, reevaluate our suffering, reevaluate our tendencies towards a darker version of ourselves and find the light inside ourselves. It sounds very esoteric, but it's something that I've toyed with and I've grappled with for the last 10 years. I've noticed the times when I seep into that darker version of myself that it's not something that helps. It's not something that I can find a way out of if I don't pull myself out of it. I'm the only one that can pull myself out of that simply by doing the work that I need to do. And how you do this depends on your beliefs. If you're a spiritual person, you may find that meditation allows you to be more in tune with your frequencies. If you're a religious person, you may find that following or practicing a religion may allow you to do that. If you are a secular person, you may find that speaking with someone that is professionally capable to give you direction and then doing the work outside of that allows you to do that. Whatever your direction is, you need to do what is right for you and to actively move towards that. Simply talking about your issues is not a way of overcoming your issues. You need to actually take the steps necessary to overcome them. So I know this video was all over the place, but I want to reiterate that self-care, taking care of yourself in all areas of your life, mentally, spiritually, physically, fitness-wise, is an act of devotion. It's an act of loving yourself and loving those around you, because you are actively working at becoming the best possible version of yourself, to bring your light, to bring your gift, to bring the best possible version of yourself to the world and to those around you. Look at this as a lifelong practice, as something that I'm personally always working on, and hopefully you will also be working on. Whether you're in the lowest of lows and the highest of highs, understand that life is a cycle and that it's going to need a consistent vigilance towards just being as harmonious or being as in cycle as possible. And this is not something that we can ever achieve a finite conclusion to, but it is something that is well worth the journey. It's something that's well worth the effort. It's something that is well worth living our lives and spending our lives trying to get as close as possible to perfection to.